Hi, Mrs. Philippe and Mr. Philippe. My name is Kayla Maruniak. I'm the speech language pathologist, and I'm gonna ask you some questions today about the case history form that your wife filled out for you regarding why you're here today. I noticed that you're here because Mr. Philippe is having a lot of trouble with his words and with memorization. Can you describe or kind of tell me in your own words how this has been impacting him in his daily life?
So he's actually having trouble doing a lot of things around the house. He's having trouble identifying objects using the correct terms. Obviously he can't do a lot of the things that he used to do by himself. So I always have to be with him, or my kids have to be with him.
Okay. And are your kids having a lot of trouble with when they're with him? Are they having a lot of trouble helping him or communicating with him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And how does this impact you on your daily life when you are trying to communicate with your husband?
Well, for the most part, it's really hard having to leave him if I have to go outside of the house. It's not that easy when he's trying to do something and he needs to call me because I don't understand what he's saying. It's not that easy for me to get back home if something bad happens just because he can't communicate with, somebody that knocks on the door. He's pretty functional at home, but it's just communication that's interfering with my ability to do things for him or do things outside of the house.
Okay.
Because a lot of my attention is catered to him now.
Okay. So basically, a lot of the communication is more of a problem, not him being able to function. You're not as worried about. It's just the communication part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you use any strategies with your husband to help you guys communicate?
We do a lot of gestures, hand signals.
Okay.
If we're going to the grocery store or something like that, I have to repeat myself and see if he wants that particular item. What other strategies have I used with him? And sometimes I try to keep on a schedule so we know what we're supposed to be doing at a certain time. That just helps with trying to complete things throughout the day. And text messaging, yeah.
Okay, and out of all of those strategies that you told me that you work on with him, which one seems to work most for him?
I feel like text messaging.
With the text messaging? Okay.
We're just writing it down on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Sometimes the words are still used incorrectly, but I kind of have to use the context that he's trying to give me in writing.
Okay. And when I saw that you and your husband visited the neurologist, did the neurologist happen to tell you or explain to you where in the brain that the damage had occurred when he had his
I think he had said, or she had said, the temporal was affected.
Okay. And also I noticed that that he was left unconscious on the ground for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Did the neurologist happen to say anything about the severity of the brain injury due to that, by any chance?
Well, like you said, we don't know how long he had been out for. I was at home at the time, but he had probably been out, I don't know, anywhere from but he was breathing, so
Okay.
it's just he wasn't awake for that time. Yeah, that's what
Okay.
the doctor told me.
Okay. And then also his, you mentioned that the condition has changed since it first happened. How so?
Well, initially, like, it was very hard to understand what he was saying at all. Like, but it's been a few months now, so having to use specific strategies like the text messaging and like kind of practicing doing things around the house where he's more familiar with everything, I feel like that has helped him. So in terms of his language skills and the word use, it's gotten a little bit better.
Okay.
It's easier to understand him, I guess.
And he hasn't seen any other, he hasn't received any kind of outside therapy since the fall, has he?
No.
No, just the neurologist? Okay. When do you see, does the memory loss or memorization, does that vary throughout the day at all?
Definitely. I feel like throughout the day he gets pretty frustrated, so I think that kind of contributes to him being very tired. He's
Okay.
like really out of energy. So I don't know if it's just he doesn't want to really communicate anymore, or I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does that, does he ever say to you how he's feeling when he is communicating to you, or does he kind of just
Shut down.
shut down? Yeah, is there any
I mean, I feel like he's shut down a couple of times. I can definitely tell when he gets frustrated. I try my best, but he'll get over it.
You also mentioned that the languages that are spoken at home are English and you're in Tagalog. Do you see any differences in those languages with his communication abilities become more affected?
Sometimes he'll speak in Tagalog, but he'll mix some words up, or he'll try to speak English, and then he'll replace another word with Tagalog, which is our native language, but even the Tagalog is not correct.
Okay.
So, but predominantly we speak Tagalog at home.
Okay.
But with the kids, more English.
Okay. All right. I think that is all the questions that I have for you today. Are there any questions that you have for me? Anything that I can clarify or?
So what's the next step after this?
The next step is we'll probably take a look at what we talked about today as far as the case history, and we'll move forward with assessing your husband to see what his diagnosis can be, that we can start working on treatment for him.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.